Okay, so the book we're talking about now is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabriel Zevin. And I like the cover with the wave, which goes into the whole book and everything.
Yeah.
Yes. But you only gave it a 4 out of 5.
Some parts in the book were kind of slow and repetitive. Sometimes it took me a little while in the middle of the book to keep picking it back up. I had to push myself through certain parts to finish the chapter. Like, not much happened. It was kind of like, we're making this video game. And that's all they talked about for the whole chapter. And I'm like, okay, can we skip over this part and get to the next part?
Not interested. Right.
There were certain parts, though, that really caught my attention, but it just, in the middle of it, it just was a long book.
Okay.
But overall, the themes, the characters, the dynamics was very good, so I rated it 4.
Okay. All right. Still not bad.
No.
I take a 4 out of 5 any day. All right. So, speaking of video games, was there a symbol that kind of stood out to you?
Well, there was... The first game that they made was a game called... It was called, Choices or something. And you were in this factory and you were making these things, and there were 2 different choices you could make. Either you could just blindly make all of these, I think there were guns, or you could sell some of your money to learn more information. And if you just created all the guns and got all the points, at the end it was good job, Nazi soldier, you helped us make all the guns for the Nazis. Or if you got the information, you realized it happened, what was happening, and you could not make as many guns, work slower, try to stop it the most that you could. And I felt like that was a good game. I would play that game, and I felt I don't know, just solid game idea. And the other game that they made was a little girl. She got lost at sea.
Yes.
And she had to find her way back home, and at the end she grew up and went home to her family, and they didn't recognize her and stuff. That was also a very good game, I thought. If the games that they said in the book were actual games, I would play them.
Yes, and I don't play video games. All right, so did this book inspire you to explore new ideas or to look at things from another perspective?
Yes, there were multiple new themes in this book that I saw that I wouldn't have explored by myself. One of the main characters was a kid who grew up in a hospital setting a lot of the time because
I forgot about that. Yep.
He wrecked his leg in a car accident, and it made me think more about childhood trauma when it comes to kids and growing up with severe illnesses, or just not the average childhood experience, and how it affects people when they grow up. And also, there was a part of the book that talked about Asian Americans and how they didn't fit in either category. They weren't Asian enough or they weren't American enough, and how they felt out of place. And I am not an Asian American, so I never would have thought of that. So it was very good perspective.
Good. I'm glad that happened. And then, do you agree with the author's point of view as to what she had the characters do?
There were some points in the book where I was like, why are you doing this? There were definitely some self-sabotage there in some parts, and just choices that the characters made where I was like, what are you doing? So at some points I did not like the characters, so no, I didn't agree with everything that they did, but I felt like that made it more real and seemed like real people, because people make mistakes and choose the wrong things sometimes, and it just felt more real that way. So it did help to the overall theme of the book. It made it more believable.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to add?
I did like the theme. One of the characters, his name is Marks, and he did end up dying in a shooting near the end of the book. And they made metaphor about him going to the afterlife where he was like a bird and he was flying through this field, and it was just very good imagery in the book, and like it wasn't like anything I've ever read before. Like it was very like different, and you didn't really understand what was happening at first. You're like, why are they talking about a bird right now?
Right.
Like, and until you understand, and it was just very beautiful. I loved that chapter. It was very nice.
Good. Yes, because it was.
Though it did make me tear up at the
I
end.
know it was a sad death. Yeah,
Yeah.
not necessary, but necessary, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, you are done. Thank you for talking with me.
Thank you for having me.